broadcasting across the nation from the East Coast to the West, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side, with leading-edge topics, along with special guests, to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that will make you go, Pull up a seat, raise a glass with our hosts as we spend the next hour talking about technology for the common person. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm.
Welcome to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm, the show that makes you go, Technology News of the Week, the show for the everyday person talking about technology, broadcasting across the nation with insightful segments on subjects weeks ahead of the mainstream media. We welcome our radio audience of 35 million listeners to an hour of insightful technology news. I'm Nathan Mumm, your host and technologist with over 30 years of technology expertise. Our co-host, Mike Roday, is in studio today. Mike's an award-winning author and a human behavior expert. Now, we're live streaming during our show on four of the most popular platforms, including YouTube, Twitch.tv, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We encourage you to visit us online at techtimeradio.com and become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/techtimeradio. Now, we are friends from different backgrounds, but we bring the best technology show possible weekly for our family, friends, and fans to enjoy. We're glad to have Odie, our producer, at the control panel today. Welcome, everyone. Let's start today's show.
Now on today's show.
All right, on the show today, we have James Riddle talking about technology in the medical field, along with Nick Espinosa talking about all things security. In addition, of course, we have our featured segments, including Mike's mesmerizing moment, our technology fail of the week, and a possible Nathan Nugget. And, of course, our pick of the day whiskey tasting to see if our selected whiskey pick gets 0, 1, or 2 thumbs up by the end of the show. But now, it's time for the latest headlines in the world of technology.
Here are our top technology stories of the week.
All right. Story number 1. Meta found a new way to violate your privacy. Let's go to Lisa Walker for more on the story.
It's not novel that Meta is undermining your privacy. Researchers have recently discovered that Meta is using tactics similar to those employed by digital crooks to secretly compile logs of people's web browsing on Android devices. After researchers publicized their findings, Meta said it stopped. No one, including Android owner Google, knew that Meta's Facebook and Instagram apps were siphoning people's data through a digital backdoor for months. Meta is undermining your privacy, and it has been doing so for many years. Now, back to the studio.
All right, so we're going to be talking about this. It just is like repeat rinse. You know what I'm talking about? It's just unbelievable. So now,
are they going to do anything about it?
Well,
No.
I don't know. I just finally got my $22 settlement from the Equifax settlement. Did you get that in your mail? $22.66.
What Equifax?
The Equifax security breach where everybody was breached.
No, I didn't.
There was a class action you can sign up for.
Did I have to sign up for it?
You did have to sign up for it.
Okay, then I didn't get.
They promised
nothing.
you hundreds of thousands of dollars that would be paid out to the people, and I got $22.
Well, yeah, that's what a class action lawsuit is. It's $100,000.
Already spent it on Amazon.
And
I got it
they
last night.
break it down for everybody in the class action lawsuit, and then the lawyers take about 90%.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, well, let's talk about and unravel this mystery regarding Meta. Now, millions of websites contain a string of computer code from Meta that compiles with web activity. You might capture income you report to the government, your application for a student loan, or even your online shopping. Now, Meta uses logs, and they call this the MetaPixel software to build a profile of you for advertising people to purchase. Now, typically information from this Meta software flows one way. It connects once your computer sends information to Data's cloud, but we have found out that Meta has been prying the back end of Android phones. Now, you have an Android phone, right, Mike?
Yep. Are you gonna tap dance on my Android right now?
I'm not going to tap dance, and I'm going to tell you that, we've been talking about where you say something and all of a sudden that becomes available for purchase in the stores that you're looking at. That's because
that never happens to me.
That never happens to you?
No, I don't. But then again, I don't talk to my phone.
You don't talk or on your phone?
I don't talk on
your phone either. Okay. Well, if you actually use your phone to talk or to browse apps, especially those like Chrome, Meta and Yandex have found workarounds that actually get your data. The techniques essentially are that like malware or malicious software that goes in and is planted on your phone and bypasses all the security settings by default on your phone itself.
You're not going to try and say that word.
Nah. All right. As Meta representatives said, the company is talking to Google to address potential miscommunications regarding the applications of their policies. Meta said that it paused what it was doing. Yandex, another collection company, said that it also stops its information of collecting sensitive information until they can identify and understand best practices. Now, if you're wondering about iPhones, the research team that did this study found no evidence that Meta and Yandex were able to do the same backdoor data harvesting on Apple devices. So no privacy settings could be hacked or altered by both Meta and Yandex, even though it does look like there's logs that they attempted to do so. Go figure. Now, they circumvented privacy and security protections Google set up on the Android devices, and this is how they did it. They did it by loading third-party software that then would mimic and would have a buffer within the operating system itself that would use that over the standard Google operating system. So this is the same way that you would have somebody hijack or load a virus onto your Android phone to get information. So if your phone started acting a little slower after they were doing that, that was because they were harvesting the data both in and out back to their areas. Now, let's tell everybody what they need to stop doing right now. First of all, you should stop using the Chrome browser, because if you're using the Chrome browser, there's so many extensions and so many hackable systems that are in there right now that everybody is creating backdoors into the system. And without the government having people regulating and looking into this stuff, it's making it easier and easier and easier. And Google Chrome is considered the #1 browser, so it'll be the #1 that gets hacked. So that's
this is
why
on Android devices, right? This isn't on your PC.
No, this is on both. This is on across the platform.
Okay.
PC, Android devices, iOS devices. Now is the time to use the Brave browser or Mozilla's Firefox. Both very good alternatives. They are not #1, so they don't get all these hack backdoor applications they're adding to it. So now, if you really want to get crazy, you can even do Microsoft Edge, but that's really, I know, going a little bit to one extreme. So I don't know if you want to do that, but there are a couple alternatives.
Are you bagging on Edge?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying that there are other browsers out there. Please be careful. Chrome is the most popular web browser and has the most vulnerabilities of all that are out there. All right.
Awesome.
There you go. You know what? I think we need to move to story number 2. What do you have for us, Mike? I'm so excited about
You're so excited about this. So let me ask you a question. But it's almost 40 years old now. It's
Okay.
a movie. It's
Yeah.
one of your favorites. What is it?
Well, it would be the Three Amigos, although I do have a Three Amigos right behind the studio thing. I would say Spaceballs.
Spaceballs.
That is correct.
Do you like Spaceballs?
I do like Spaceballs.
Okay, well,
Nothing's better than when the big
guess
vacuum
what's going to
comes down after
happen
the
in
sex.
2027?
What's that?
Spaceball 2.
Oh, boy.
And it's not going to be the search for more money.
It's not going to be the
too
search-
bad.
Well,
Because that was in the original movie.
Well, I don't know if they've come out with the official title. I think they're just saying that they have like a working title
They have
right
a
now.
working title, and
Yeah.
it's called The Schwartz Awakens,
Okay.
which is a play on, the mostly beloved Star Wars
The Force Awakens.
7th film.
The Force Awakens. Okay.
Yep,
All right.
The
What's
Schwartz
up?
Awakens.
Well, what do we have? What good news do we have about Spaceballs 2?
Okay, well, Amazon is calling this film a non-prequel, non-reboot sequel, part 2, but with reboot elements, franchise expansion films.
Okay.
It is. Look at that. It is
Yep. Well, tell us
Going to
who's in
star-
it. Who's in it?
Bill Pullman.
Okay. So he was in the original.
He was in the original. He was Lone Star.
Yeah.
And Mel Brooks is going to come back as Yogurt.
Okay.
Rick Moranis is going to be back
As Dark Helmet.
As Dark Helmet.
Okay. That's a pretty big deal. Rick Moranis hasn't done anything for a long time.
Yeah, no,
So
a lot of them haven't done.
I know.
Getting a little old.
Okay.
Bill Pullman's son Lewis is going to be the central guy.
He's hot right now. He was
Is
just
he?
yeah.
Are you sure he's hot?
Yeah, he was just out in the Marvel, the new Avengers.
He was on that new Thunderbolts
or Thunderbolts, whichever one that you want to get it is. New Avengers
Yeah,
or
I
Thunderbolts.
haven't watched that.
You haven't watched it? He's really good in that, actually.
Yeah, I'm so tired of
Marvel films
right now. I haven't. Anyway, it's been about 40 years since Spaceball came out, and here we go. The best news of all, plot details have been revealed along with a key piece of casting.
Okay.
The Hollywood Reporter broke the news of the casting as well as some of the plot details. According to the trade, Lewis Pullman is playing Starburst, the son of Lone Star.
Okay.
And Queen Vespa, who is Daphne Zuniga, is set to also return.
So that was Princess Leia knockoff, right?
Yep. Starburst is one of the film's 3 main characters, along with Destiny, played by Keke Palmer, and a character played by Josh Gad, who has yet to be named, but is suspected to be a Barf descendant.
Okay.
The younger Pullman has had an incredible few years. First really breaking out as the lovable naval operator Bob in Top Gun Maverick.
Yep.
Followed by playing Bob, a.k.a. Sentry, in the Thunderbolts.
Okay.
The Schwartz Awakens is, of course, the play on
the title name,
the
Star Wars name, Force Awakens,
the everybody's favorite Star Wars film.
Okay.
It's going to be coming to theaters in 2027. Doesn't have an official title yet.
It better be Spaceballs 2, The Search for Money. If they do not do that,
it would be nice if they did that, since it was referenced in the film.
That would be perfect.
Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Well, I hope this not one of these bad remakes. I hope this is actually a remake that will be done well. They have so much to make fun of. They can do all the MCU stuff.
Better. It's
right?
been 40 years.
Yeah, you got some MCU. You got,
but then again, this is one of the things that have been happening all over the place. You know, like Beetlejuice has a new film.
Yep.
You know,
I'm excited about it.
They're not remakes; they're sequels.
They're sequels.
Yeah.
So it's not a prequel, but it's a sequel to it.
No,
So
it's a non-prequel, non-reboot sequel, part 2, but with reboot elements, franchise expansions.
Yeah.
Okay. So they'll have like characters in there, but it'll be a whole new storyline.
Yeah.
What they're saying.
They're not remaking. I feel like if they were trying to remake it, there'd be an uproar on the internet.
Well,
we got 2 years to figure that.
Yeah,
out. I'm sure people are going to be freaking out about this later on.
All right, and then they'll have all the people. There they go. All right,
we'll see what happens when the teaser trailer comes out.
They do have the scroll right now that's on. Have you seen the scroll?
No.
You got to watch the scroll. It makes fun of all the Marvel stuff, so it's pretty good.
Okay.
All right, well, that ends our top technology stories of the week. We're going to return with Nick Espinosa from Security Fanatics. He's joining the show talking about cybercrime. What do we need to worry about? Is AI going to take over the world? And is there going to be a world moving on to next month? All right. Find out more. You're listening to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. We'll see you after the commercial break.
Looking for custom glass solutions for your next commercial project? Hartung Glass Industries is your trusted partner in custom glass fabrication. For over 100 years, Hartung has delivered proven manufacturing expertise, comprehensive product offerings, and dependable service and quality. From energy-efficient facades to custom shower doors, we create glass solutions tailored to your project needs. With 8 facilities across the U.S. and Canada, we combine national expertise with a local touch-ensuring faster service and unparalleled customer care. Hartung Glass Industries, where quality meets innovation. Visit hartungglass.com to learn more.
Welcome back to Tech Time with Nathan Mumm. Our weekly show covers the top technology subjects without a political agenda. We verify the facts, and we do it with a sense of humor in less than 60 minutes, and, of course, a little whiskey on the side. All right, Mr. Gregoire, our whiskey connoisseur, you're in the studio today. Glad you're here. Tell us, what are we sipping today?
Today is Sazerac Rye Whiskey. It's also known as Baby Saz.
Baby Saz.
Now, from Buffalo Trace's website, aromas of clove, vanilla, anise, and pepper. Subtle notes of candied spices and citrus. The big finish is smooth with hints of licorice. Now, this is from the Sazerac Company.
Okay.
Buffalo Trace Distillery in Frankfort, Kentucky. It is a straight rye. It's non-age stated, but we know since it's straight rye, it has to be at least 4 years old. 90 proof. Mash bill is undisclosed, but we know it's Buffalo Trace's low rye mash bill.
Okay.
And the price is $30.
Well, Mark, I think we can say you did it.
What's that?
I have converted to liking rye. Every time he brings a rye on, I like it.
Wow.
And you know what, Mike? This is a very inexpensive rye.
Look at this bottle, and it's got a cork top. It's got all
it's got all the Nathan perks,
and it's under $50.
I know.
That's like number one Nathan.
And during the mumbles, it has a fun story.
Oh, does it? All right. We'll have to wait for that. All right. Well, with our first whiskey tasting completed, let's move on to our feature segment. Today, our technology expert, Nick Espinosa, is joining the show. Nick is an expert in cybersecurity and network infrastructure. He's consulted with clients ranging from small business to the Fortune 100 level. In 1998, at the age of 19, Nick founded Windy City Networks, which was later acquired in 2015. And you know what? We need to ask how much he sold it for in 2015.
Well, no, we don't. We don't need to ask that question.
He then created Security Fanatics, where he's the chief security fanatic. We would now want to welcome Nick to the show.
Welcome to the segment we call Ask the Experts, with our TechTime Radio expert, Nick Espinosa.
Hi, Nick.
All right, Nick. All right, here I go, Nick. Question number one, off the charts. How much did you make when you sold? Well, I'm just curious.
Be asking people? That's rude.
Did you make a good amount of money? Let me just ask you that.
He's on Tech Time. That answers your question.
All right. Well, hang on. Let me just say this first.
Okay. It's got the same. Is that the same bottle? What the heck? Look at that.
That's right, baby.
That's right. Look at that. Way to go.
Great stuff. Yeah, I opened it about an hour ago, and
it's halfway gone. Yeah, that's the way I feel, Nick.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
Figured you guys would get a kick out of that.
That is perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea. That was not planned, audience. That was not planned. So let's dive in.
All right. Well, hang on. Let me ask. Thumbs up or thumbs down, Nick?
Oh, I like it.
Okay.
I like it. It's
up.
good.
All right. All right. Okay. Well, tell everybody a little bit about yourself for the listener audience.
Sure. I'm Nick Espinosa, chief security fanatic of Security Fanatics. We do all things cybersecurity, cyber warfare, cyber terrorism, all that fun stuff. And as always, I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you on the show. All right. So we're going to start out with our first subject, which is Mike Gorday's favorite. It's all about AI.
AI.
All right. So AI. Let's talk about robo taxis. Now, they're becoming a surveillance nightmare. Which is why, you know what? No, that's second story. Let's go back to the first story. AI. Okay. See, we got two AIs. Let's talk about the AI that is now being used by our national security. What is going on with this? I'm seeing a bunch of articles pop up all over everywhere. What AI are they using? What's going on? Why is our national security using AI?
Yeah. So we all knew this was coming, right? And I think there's a lot of implications in this. So the AI maker that we're talking about today is Anthropic. They're one of the major players, competitor to OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, et cetera, et cetera. And so they have just released a new set of AI models specifically for U.S. national security customers. Now, these are basically based off of their Claude. That's what Anthropic calls their artificial intelligence, but these are gov models, and they're designed essentially to be applied to government operations like strategic planning, operational support, and I think this one's concerning, intelligence analysis. Now, Anthropic is saying that these new custom models handle classified material better, and then they also refuse less when engaging with classified information. So I guess the initial models just couldn't ingest everything and look at all points from all sides, and now it's gotten better as AI tends to get better. And so by virtue of that, it now has a greater understanding of the documents within intelligence and defense contexts. So these models have quote unquote enhanced proficiency in languages, dialects, and whatnot that are critical to national security operations. And Anthropic says that also has improved understanding and interpretation of complex cybersecurity data for intelligence analysis. Now, obviously, a whole bunch of AI makers are trying to get into this space because what's good enough for the government usually means really expensive contracts. So OpenAI, Meta are good friends that are data mining the bejesus out of us. Google, Cohere, and others are working on this as well. My fear here is that this is going to look at basically intelligence from all sides. It's going to make some kind of decision and then get people killed. Meaning when we have what?
He said Spynet.
I said Skynet.
Or Skynet.
I'm not saying they're hooking it up to the missiles, right? But imagine ingesting a whole bunch of intelligence like where Osama bin Laden is in Abbottabad, and the AI makes an incorrect assessment, incorrect statement, something along those lines that's wildly off, and we get a whole bunch of SEAL team members killed or something along those lines. Or we bomb the wrong target, and bombings are a thing lately. So I mean, I think this has a lot to be desired, and I think it's something that we really need to watch.
Yeah, I do have concerns about this, right? So now, I mean,
what?
Yeah,
what?
Our AI,
you're like the AI.
No, I love AI for aspects of AI, but I don't know if I want. I mean, I don't mind it going through a bunch of SharePoint documents and and summarizing different stuff. But when it starts going on out and making its own ideas and its own intelligence, which it's not, it's just a bunch of ones and zeros that it's deciding yes or no for, then now all of a sudden I think we have some issues to be.
We already know that it lies and it hallucinates.
Yeah, we already know that it tried to, like a couple weeks ago or last week, I think it was on the show where we talked about the bribery where it tried bribing somebody. So I mean, it's at the infancy stages. I'm not sure that Anthropic on the back end, I am not too hip on that company and their processes that they have. I'm a big Sam Altman, OpenAI type of guy. I just like that they have a lot of guardrails in place, in my opinion. They're doing a lot of stuff that I think is what I would want to be done. So I just, okay.
Right. Well, and Anthropic is a major player. I mean, if you've used their Claude model, it's pretty solid and it's accurate, or tends to be. But, to Mike's point, we see hallucinations all the time, right? These things go out there. I've literally written articles on it where I've gotten it to lie to me, and it really wasn't hard to get it to do that. Not to mention the fact that the more information you're ingesting, the more probability there could potentially be for misanalysis as well. And obviously the intelligence agencies want to dump as much data into this thing, have it sift through and come up with solutions. I think that could be very promising, but also very, very detrimental, to this as well. And we've just seen some terrible misfires over the year with this. So putting this in the hands of national security, I think, is a little concerning. Not to mention the fact Palantir seems to be building and compiling a national database, right? And so how's the AI going to look at that as it's looking at our data, for example? That's the whole thing from Doge.
Now, suddenly you're going to start having personal profiles, and the government will be like, these are high risk. They do, but now it's going to be even easier to dynamically pull that in.
All the government's going to do is buy Meta, and then they'll know everything about it.
That's about right. All right, staying on the topic of AI, I almost skipped over this. The story number 2: robo taxis are becoming the surveillance nightmare. Not only are they a road nightmare, not only do they stop in the middle of the road when software updates need to be happening and they don't know what's going on. So you got all those nightmares. Now we have LA protesters that have been in the news. They set some on fire. What is going on? Waymo and these robo taxis in the AI are a concern. What information do you have that we need to have out in the public now?
Well, think about it this way. What is a robo taxi? If you see one of these things, it sees you, right? And so by virtue of that, police departments in cities where these things operate, I was just recently in San Francisco for the RSA conference. These things are flipping everywhere, right? And so the cops basically are getting all of the footage from these to help them in investigations. And so Bloomberg did some reporting on this, and they noted that San Francisco, Maricopa County, Arizona, which is Phoenix, and some others are issuing legal requests like warrants and subpoenas and all of that to essentially obtain videos from like these Waymo vehicles, and obviously other ones, but like Waymo is the big one, right? And they've been doing, San Francisco and Phoenix have been doing that since 2023. But this goes all the way back with Waymo to 2016, when they first started launching in other areas around the Phoenix area, like Chandler and all of that. So autonomous vehicles are obviously equipped with 360-degree cameras. They're constantly recording. In other words, if I'm walking down the street in San Francisco or Phoenix or whatever, and one of these Waymos goes by, it sees me. It has to see me because I could be a potential threat if I jump in front of the car, right? So these essentially are surveillance cameras on wheels, right? And so it's obviously raising the question about oversight, data collection, all these kinds of things. And if you think about it, we are turning ourselves into, for the sake of convenience, a massive surveillance state. Ring doorbell, for example, license plate readers, all this kind of stuff. And so by virtue of that, we've seen companies without warrants, for the record, in the past, like Amazon and Ring, give footage to the police upon request. And so we'll see where this goes, but essentially these are massive surveillance, which is why a whole bunch of protesters in LA, like a few days back, a week back, whatever it was, started ordering Waymos to show up, and then they started torching them because, again, could be footage used by the police.
All right. So again, we don't want anybody to be torching any cars. Like that.
They talked about this in The Dark Knight.
Do they?
Yeah.
The movie?
Never mind.
Okay. All right. So think about this. You have Waymo now collecting all this data about yourself.
This is kind of like Britain's use of CCTVs all over the place,
where they can hack into it at any time to find out what's going on, as you can see in any of the movies.
I don't know anymore though. What's that?
It's not just London anymore. I mean, this is now hitting America. I mean, how many cameras are in New York, Chicago, LA, that we see? Stoplight cameras everywhere. Everybody's wiring
Roomba cameras now being used in court cases where somebody sees something.
Maybe that's why my
camera.
Roomba was spinning around on my carpet this morning.
Was it telling you?
It was somebody,
was it protesting?
It was protesting.
I mean, this is a concern. We got. I love technology.
Okay,
but
I need to drink whiskey right now. What are we going to do about it?
Nothing, because everybody's going to continue to use robo taxis. They're going to become more and more popular. Waymo has got huge market share.
Yeah.
When you get into their vehicle now, you sign away all your privacy in that video. Now, if you video record something negative about Waymo and you post it, you now get a cease and desist letter from them immediately, because when you go into that taxi, you have given your rights away to do any recording or anything of that extent. They now own, while you're in that vehicle, all recording devices, and it's actually in their user's agreement that you cannot record.
Well.
So they can record you. They can use that information, but you as a user can't record what's going on in that vehicle and then post it to social media.
That brings up a really good point, because I bet you there is an OnlyFans account out there of nothing but Waymo videos of people in Waymos.
That would be fun.
I'd put money on it.
I may actually spend money to go watch that. That would be kind of funny.
If you can think it, it's on the internet somewhere.
All right.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
Last story that we'll talk about. Now, this is really cool because I actually watched a bunch of the videos that were hosted.
Oh, they're crazy.
So China hosted an all-robot MMA tournament. Now, it was kind of like a BattleBots tournament, but if you've ever watched the BattleBots in the battle zone, there's these robots that go and they fight to death. Pretty well engineered. These machines destroy other robots. Now, the fight footage shows some robots could punch and kick smoothly. Other attacks were soft and more like pushes and strikes. Now, the owners were controlling them with remotes, so it wasn't necessarily a all AI-driven type of deal. But tell us a little bit about this robot MMA tournament, Nick.
Yeah. And to Nathan's point, go watch the footage of this thing. It's called the China Media Group World Robot Competition Mecha Fighting Series. And I'm telling you, you will be laughing and a little terrified, just a little.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just a little. So anyway, this tournament, basically every entry in the tournament, any team was using the Unitree Robotics G1 robot. They're about 77 pounds or so. They're about 4.5 feet tall. So it's like a 12-year-old basically, in size. And the G1, you can go buy your own Terminator right now. It's relentless killing machine for $16,000 US. And so essentially what they did was they basically made it a standard fight, 3 rounds, 2 minutes each. If you landed a punch, it was a point. You got a kick, it was 3 points. 5 points were deducted though for falling over, and 10 points were deducted if the robot failed to stand up within 8 seconds. In other words, it couldn't right itself.
10 count.
So and for the record, it does, like, as we're talking about this, it does kind of sound like the robot zombie apocalypse here, but it's honestly not. It just, go watch those YouTube videos. They are beyond amusing, and some of it was impressive. Because to Nathan's point, this was a hybrid of programmatically creating these robots, teaching them kung fu or mixed martial arts or whatever. And so you can see some pretty impressive kicks and all of that, but there's a whole bunch of videos of them just flailing around, punching, into nothingness, tripping over themselves and all of that. So it's more comedy than nightmare at this time. And I think that's the key phrase, right? At this time, because robotics is developing crazy fast, right? You can go watch the video of the evolution of like Boston Robotics, and just in the last 20 years, how far they've come in robotics. So the Chinese have robots, they're teaching them kung fu. And honestly, this might be the prelude to like what future wars look like, right? Drones and robots. So we'll see what happens, but best of luck to us all on that one.
What's that movie? My son loves that movie with the robot.
Big Hero 6.
Okay. He does.
That's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Big Hero 6.
Big Hero 6, like Baymax just fighting it out with another robot.
Okay, but what's the big robots that fight?
Mech Warrior.
Real Steel.
Yeah.
RoboJock.
Pacific
RoboJocks.
Rim.
The Pacific Rim. That's what I was thinking of. Pacific Rim.
RoboDucks from like the 80s.
Okay, that works too. That works too. Okay.
There you go.
But you should go watch it because right now, if you're worried about robots taking over, that was pretty funny. I don't think you have to worry about these robots. Couldn't stand up. They would do a sidekick.
For now.
Yeah, for now. But again,
at this time,
later on, we're going to have like robot wars, and people are going to have come out and have picnics to watch them, just like they did at the start of the Civil War.
The Civil War. Or you could just then put them in like the Real Steel, or that you can put them in a fighting area and then you bet on them.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's already happening.
Probably.
Right? In China.
Yeah, they're on FanDuel for sure.
FanDuel wages for Robot A62. Will he make it more than 3 minutes? Will he do the first punch? And will he also then score the first touchdown? All right. Yeah. Well, Nick,
if
thanks
I can watch two guys from Belgium slap each other with fish for money.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. I watched the video of the MMA stuff. All I could think of is the other videos that I watched were the slapping competitions. I don't know if you ever see those on like ESPN and stuff like that. I'm just like, man, anything can be a competition now. Rock, scissors, paper, slapping somebody in the face. I mean, there's a professional rock, scissors, paper league.
I know anything and everything. That's
right.
what
I'm sure you can bet on hacking competitions as well.
That's right.
You know,
that'll be a time. That'll be a time. Then you just put.
I'm sure there's competitions on how fast you can dress your dog.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Have you ever seen the people that have the fake pony horses that they don't really ride on, but it's like a stick?
Okay, we're getting off topic.
Yeah, we are way off topic, buddy. We don't need to go into that right
now. All right.
Leave it up to Nathan.
Thank you for coming on the show today. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. Please tell our listeners, how can they connect with you outside the show?
All right. Please like, share, follow me, Facebook, X, Twitter, Blue Sky, all that kind of stuff at Nick A ESP or Nick Espinosa. Come say hi. I love hanging out.
All right, Nate.
Nice.
Thank
enjoy
you
your
so much.
Sazerac.
Yes, enjoy your whiskey. Sounds great. From all of us here at TechTime Radio, we want to thank Nick from Security Fanatics for joining the show. Now that ends our segment, Ask the Expert with Nick. Up next, we have Mike's Mesmerizing Moment.
Welcome to Mike's Mesmerizing Moment. What does Mike have to say today?
All right, Mike, why are B-rated movies a part of our culture? We were just talking about some of them as we did that last segment, too. Why?
Why?
Yes.
Why are B-rated movies part of our culture?
Yes.
Nostalgia.
Okay.
Camp.
What is camp?
There's campiness to them. So
I'd love to hear your description of camp right now.
It's so bad it's good.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think that's probably a good reason. I think.
Do you know Blade Runner was a B-rated movie? When it first came out, kind of like a blockbuster bomb, and then all of a sudden they caught on later.
Yeah, well, see, that's where we get this discussion, right? Because when a company makes a movie, they are looking for a specific return on that movie, right? So if it doesn't hit that in the box office, then it becomes a B-rated movie,
a bomb.
But a true B-rated movie is those movies that are quickly done. It's under budget. It's a proving ground for actors and actresses and filmmakers and all this other stuff. So I don't think you're quite putting Blade Runner in the correct category, because I don't think Blade Runner was created as a B movie and it just didn't do well in the box office. And then what happens is, if it doesn't hold up to the hype when it releases, you get what's an underground fandom that comes along, and they recruit more and more people, and then it becomes a very popular movie later on down the line, and that feeds into a lot of different psychology. It feeds into the same. Yes, a community thing. And also they call it a cult following because there's some cult aspects to it. So yeah.
Okay.
That's why.
Now, the B movie originally was created for a bomb. That's what they call this. So it was a bomb at the box office. But now it's it has its own subgenre category of what a B movie is.
A B movie is just one of those. There's a lot more freedom in how it's filmed and how it's done, and there's a lot of different reasons why B movies exist.
Okay.
Whether it becomes a cult classic or a favorite, I mean, there's tons and tons of movies out there that nobody knows about, nobody cares about.
Howard the Duck.
Yeah, there's a cult following of Howard the Duck.
You think so?
Pretty sure.
Okay.
It pops up on streaming services every once in a while. So,
all right. Okay. Well, thank you, Mike, for that mesmerizing moment.
yeah, I'm sure that was really mesmerizing.
That was mesmerizing for me.
I'm going to go home and watch Spaceballs.
Are you? Okay. All right. Up next, we have This Week in Technology. So now would be a great time to enjoy a little whiskey on the side, as we're going to be doing so during the break. You're listening to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm. See you in a few minutes.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, so you know what? We need people to start liking our social media pages.
If you like our show, if you really like us, we could use your support on patreon.com.
Or is it Patreon? I think it's Patreon.
Okay, Patreon. If you really like us, you can.
And you say I'm the English guy?
Patreon.com.
I butcher the English language?
You know you butcher the English language.
Okay, so it's
all the time.
It's patreon.com.
Patreon.com. If you really like our show, you can subscribe to patreon.com and help us out.
Oh, and you can visit us on that Facebook platform. You know, the one that Zuckerberg owns?
The one that we always bag on?
Yeah, you can. We're on Facebook, too.
Yeah, like us on Facebook.
Do you know what our Facebook page is?
TechTime Radio.
At TechTime Radio. Yeah. You know what? There's a trend here.
It seems to be that there's a trend, and that's TechTime Radio.
Or you can even Instagram with us.
And that's at TechTime Radio.
That's at TechTime Radio. Or you can find us on TikTok.
And it's TechTime Radio.
It's at TechTime Radio.
Like and subscribe to our social media.
Like us today. We need you to like us.
Like us and subscribe. That's it?
That's it. That's that simple.
And now, let's look back at this week in technology.
All right. Going back to our Wayback Machine, we're going to June 17th, 1980. The first two video games were copyrighted. Now, Atari's Asteroids and Lunar Lander, two of some of my favorite first video games, became the first two video games to get registered by the U.S. Copyright Office. This was a crucial step in the development of intellectual property rights for the emerging video game industry. Now, with over 400,000 active copyrighted games in the United States, it's key that the underlying source code and the game's artistic elements, including art, music, and dialogue, can be protected by copyright law. However, gameplay elements of a video game are generally ineligible for any copyrights. Did you know that?
No. I don't,
so that makes sense why there's so many knockoffs of Grand Theft Auto, right? I mean, you got Mafia, which is a knockoff of that. You got tons of other video games that take the same type of experience and then create their own worlds or their own versions of those worlds. So it just tells you that you can copyright the people, the artists, and the music and art.
Okay.
Nobody cares. All right. Well, that was This Week in Technology. If you ever wanted to watch some tech time history with over 250 plus weekly broadcasts spanning on our 4+ years, going on 5 of video, podcasts, and blog information, visit us at techtimeradio.com to watch our older shows. All right. Now we're going to move on to our special guest segment. Today we have James Riddle. James has been a longtime contributor to the program. James, our special guest, is here to talk about what's going on in the medical research and innovation. James has spent the last 25 years working in the clinical research fields and lends his expertise to our audience to help break down what's going on in the world of research. You can also follow him on LinkedIn. Let's start our next segment.
Welcome to the segment we call Ask the Experts with our Tech Time Radio expert, James Riddle.
Hi, James. Great to have you back on the show.
Hi, James.
All right. So please tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
All right. So I've been around doing clinical research oversight, medical ethics, and items related to interesting research and innovation for goodness, latter part of the 20th century. So I appreciate being on the show. It's always a good time. I am going to rethink how I interact with the Waymos here in the Phoenix Valley. Sure, that last segment, I have to say. I never really thought of them as mobile surveillance vehicles, but I can't unsee that now.
Don't firebomb them.
Yeah, and also be very careful. Anything that you say in there is recorded, and they do go back and transcribe it. So if you have a conversation on your phone with a loved one or something like that, they got all that information on your profile.
Do you? You don't use them, do you? Do you?
No, I have not partaken in one of the Waymos. Okay. I do see them driving around town. There are a lot of them.
Okay.
I mean, they seem to be just about everywhere.
They are.
Yeah. I have not had the opportunity or the desire to want to get into one of them yet. However, I would have to assume that possibly Uber and Lyft have the same type of clauses in their contract when you get into one of their vehicles. So
probably.
I think all of the autonomous driving vehicles will probably have the same exact terminology that they can record you, and you can't be recording them in the future. And if they don't have that written now, I'm sure they're adding that to that. So you know what? Just go and hop in an Uber with a real person, and then you can talk with them about their
that's what you just said. They probably have the same. They probably have the same stuff going on.
I don't know if you could do that, because as a driver in there, then you would also have to be all recorded, and all your stuff would go to Uber. And I think there could. I don't know. You know what? I have not done the research into that. I did do the research into seeing what was going on in the recording stuff with Nick.
I think you basically just have to assume that everybody is watching you all of the time for everything that you do.
Yep.
And you just have to kind of be okay.
Yeah.
With that.
See, I got crazy neighbors that are always come and knock on my door and ask me while I'm cussing at them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Isn't that you're just cussing at
That's just me yelling at the TV.
Okay.
Or my Roomba.
All right.
That's spinning on the carpet.
In circles. All right. So we love AI topics here, James. And you know what? Mike, that's his favorite subject. If he could talk about AI,
favorite subject.
If he could talk about AI all day long, he would do so. And we wanted to get some information about some AI stuff. Let's talk about a face. Everybody's got a unique face. But what if you could actually get a facelift and actually change your face? Is there stuff that is being worked on right now regarding our DNA that would actually move into the real world with this type of prospect?
The short answer to that is yes. And I think that maybe a couple years back, we were having a segment about how close technologists were to being able to reproduce a reasonable facsimile of what you might look like just by looking at your DNA. A couple of years back, it was still in its infancy. Now, easily obtainable. There's a recent article came out in BGR that there was a research group over in China, of course, because they can do stuff like this that maybe we can't. They got together 10,000 volunteers, took high-resolution pictures of their face, took their DNA, ran them through high-powered AI-enabled technology, and they were able to get just with DNA, so nothing else. Like you got a fingernail, you got a hair clipping, some kind of skin cell left behind. They were able to get a reasonable representation of someone's face down to 3 millimeters, which is not quite enough for facial recognition yet. But that was with a sample of just 10,000 people. And so what they did is they took the picture, then they took the DNA from the 10,000 people, they loaded it into the AI unit, and then they took DNA from somebody who wasn't in the sample set. And they were able to have been they trained the AI to be able to reproduce the face. But here's the cool part.
Yep.
When they added in age, sex, and body mass index. So think about like what the police officers might ask a witness.
Yeah.
Like, what did the person look like? Well, they were, 5'6" male, 200 pounds. When they loaded those 3 parameters in, nothing else.
Okay.
It got down to 3 micrometers, which is facial recognition territory. So skin cells, age, sex, body mass index, and all of a sudden you've got facial recognition tagging you on the system. And that's what we can do.
So you think that's why China wants to steal all our DNA?
We can do here not too long from now.
Yeah. So let me just say that. So all of our data from our medical providers, at least my medical providers, these large companies, have been breached. So they would have my body mass index. They would have my height. They would have my weight. They would have lots of information in there. So you're saying that they could recreate a beautiful picture of this Nathan Mumm face, all the way accurate enough that it could actually be used in surveillance items.
Yeah. So not saying that the law enforcement and the like are doing that now, but the research group over in China proved that it could be done pretty easily.
Well, I'll tell you what the police do now.
Well, that's why China wants all our DNA from
23andMe.
Yeah, 23andMe.
Yeah.
Now, even if you get facelift and the like, it still doesn't change the underlying bone structure of your face. So facial recognition, you have to get some fairly significant cosmetic surgery to fake the facial recognition.
Yeah, that's great, especially with the technology that does the DNA sniffing. that we talked about.
Yeah.
In crime scenes.
Yeah. So okay, that's how we start out.
I'm not going out of my house anymore. I'm just going to stay in my house.
Well, next story. So we just talked about DNA for facelifts. So that means it's 100% accurate with the right information. So great. We'll be seeing lots of clones of Mike and Nathan around the streets coming up here in the Pacific Northwest. Now let's go to the next story. Now this is a marvel of a story. All right. Or should we say a Spider-Man marvel of a story? Let's talk about what do you have going on with spiders. Explain this. What do we got going on here, James?
Yeah, so there was a very interesting article in a journal called Interesting Engineering, no pun intended, where I think we've talked about CRISPR-Cas9 on the show
a lot.
before. The ability to take DNA and make very specific changes to the DNA, insert it back into the organism, and then the organism will adopt the traits of the updated genetic code. Useful for all kinds of things, from curing blindness to other traits that you might want to insert into crops or things of that nature.
Making T-Rex purses.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the first time that they've done it in spiders.
Okay.
So they took a relatively common house spider, the researchers in this particular article, and they genetically engineered the spider so that it produced red fluorescent spider silk. Okay. So spider silk is an amazing biologic phenomenon. Like, we have not been able as humans to reproduce the characteristics of spider silk, but we've finally been able to take a little bit of time to genetically engineer the spider to make it glow red, which was kind of interesting. So you can picture all kinds of commercial applications for this, from genetically engineered silkworms that are going to produce glowing flower shirts like the one I've got on today.
Wow. Okay. Well,
that just wasn't that interesting.
If you're into Spider-Man, though.
Well, speaking of Spider-Man,
speaking of Spider-Man, if you can genetically engineer the spider to put out glowing fluorescent spider silk, like, you could genetically engineer the spider to do like all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, it'll certainly make haunted houses more awesome.
you get shot with stuff. All right.
It's it's going to be a combination of haunted houses and raves.
All right. Now, Spider-Man has an enemy. One of his enemies is known as Venom, right? And this is a bacteria-like creature from another planet, right?
Oh, man.
Is that correct, Mike? This is how we lead into the next story.
Nathan has to combine everything with sci-fi.
That's right. Now, do we have something that is growing from out of this world on one of our space stations?
Oh yeah, this is a good segue from the glowing spider silk and the ability to recreate people's faces. So the space station, the Chinese space station, and it's not unique to them. NASA had this about a year ago.
Okay.
Microbes up on the space station are transforming themselves to exist in space. Things like, so they found recently, it was in an article called Science Alert, they found some microbes up on the Chinese space station that don't exist on Earth.
Okay.
They had hitched a ride with something that went up, supplies or whatever, and they had the microbes that they found on the space station had modified themselves to have protection against radiation, as well as some other unique characteristics that don't exist on the similar microbe down here on Earth. So new adaptation from the microbes up in space just brings back all kinds of wonderful sci-fi movies of stuff growing in space. And it didn't necessarily seem to pose any immediate threat to the astronauts who were on the space station. NASA came to the same conclusion last year. But it was interesting that after a certain amount of time up in space, the microbes started to adapt to the environment pretty quickly. Makes you wonder what would happen when humans make it to Mars and are out there for years and years. It has all kinds of scientific implications and interesting things you can learn from how microbes and the like adapt out in space.
So are these microbes, are they transferred from internal to internal, or are they from an external to the meaning are they outside the space station? In
space
my
understanding
itself?
From the article is it was stuff that was inside the space station. So it's inside the micro environment of the space station with the air and everything else that's going on with the humans. Not surprising that we would take viruses and all kinds of crazy junk up there with us. Anything that's in the air of the space capsule gets released into the space station. Somehow these microbes got in. Not surprising that they were there. What was surprising was the mutations and adaptations that they were adopting because of their life in space.
Okay. Well, there's Darwin.
Yeah, so it wasn't like something was outside the space station digging its way in and anything like that.
I think that's what Nathan thought, was that it was outside the space station. Like that movie through. Life, where they get something and then it
starts
goes
killing
out.
Kills everybody.
Kills everybody. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Okay, James. Well, I thank you so much for being a part of our show. We're out of time. How can people get in touch with you offline so they can have more great conversations about all this great stuff that you have information regarding?
Thanks. Yeah, the best way to get in touch with me is to just look me up on LinkedIn. Send out a LinkedIn request, and that's the best way to get a hold of me.
Perfect. All right, James.
Thanks,
you so
James.
much.
All right, take care, guys.
The segment we've been waiting all week for. Mark's Whiskey Mumble.
Whew. Today, I wish today was Saturday.
Why is that?
This past Saturday was National Bourbon Day.
Oh,
hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
Did you celebrate?
Oh, of course.
Okay, there you go.
Of course.
Okay, what's today?
But what's today? That's the more important question.
What is today? National B-rated movie day.
No, I don't think so.
No. Today is National Mascot Day.
Oh, okay. National Mascot?
Yeah, we celebrate and appreciate the spirit of fun mascots bringing to every event. People of all ages, children, and adults alike, except maybe Mike. Enjoy
That's right. Blah humbug.
And they help build memories of their favorite team. Now, the word mascot originates from the French word mascotte, used to describe things that bring good luck.
Wow.
So good luck to both of you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, mascots are not just foam suits and sidelines. Some show up in more subtle, spirited ways. Enter Sazerac Rye.
Nice.
Thank you, Mike. It may not have a furry costume, but this rye whiskey carries history and swagger that rivals any sports mascot. Originating from New Orleans and tied to the country's first branded cocktail, it stands as a bold, unmistakable symbol of American rye. Sazerac Rye is named after the Sazerac Coffee House in New Orleans, where many consider it to be America's first cocktail. The Sazerac was born in the mid-1800s. Now, originally it was made with cognac, the Sazerac. The recipe evolved into a rye whiskey-based cocktail when insects devastated French vineyards.
Oh.
And cognac became scarce. Even more fascinating, the Sazerac Company, which owns the brand, literally trademarked the official cocktail of New Orleans, making it the only city in the U.S. to have an official cocktail, thanks in part to this bottle of rye.
Wow, okay.
Now, this whiskey is a staple on my cocktail shelf.
What was that? What was funny about that?
I don't know. You're just like, yeah, okay. That's okay.
Is this glass empty over there?
He's so interested in that.
No, yeah. Keep on going.
I'm already done.
I was just
with
gonna say
mine.
this cocktail is on this is on my shelf and rarely lasts long, especially during the colder months when I find myself reaching for it time and again to craft a classic rye-based cocktail. Its bold and spicy profile makes it ideal for Manhattans, old fashions, and Sazeracs, adding warmth and complexity that perfectly complement winter flavors. It's one of these bottles I keep in stock because it's reliability, versatility, and it's a crowd-pleasing character.
All right. Now, since it's Mascot Day, what is the world's most recognizable mascot? Odie, quick. You guys, give me a guess.
It's a Santa Cruz Slug.
Nope, incorrect. Number one mascot, Mike?
I don't care.
All right.
Is it? Oh my God! Is it the Chicago Bulls one?
No, that's not. It's not.
That would have been the fun one.
It's that
not
green,
the San Diego Chicken either.
It's not what?
It's not
It's
the number one mascot.
The green thing with
Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse mascot.
This is what Nathan was doing when I was talking about the whiskey.
That's right.
That's why he sounded so excited. He was so busy trying to.
All right. Okay.
Wow.
Well, you know
to
what?
make you go.
Great. What a great pairing. Just like Spaceballs and Blazing Saddles.
You
Two movie classics.
Yeah, you bombed that one.
That's all right. All right. Now let's prepare for our technology fail of the week.
Congratulations. You're a failure.
Oh, I failed, did I?
Yes. Did I? Yes.
All right, this technology fail will probably fade us out into the end of the show. All right, AI startup, Builder.ai. Guess what? It lost $85 million in a meltdown because it was found out that it was a pretender and not a contender. This Builder AI app was essentially 700 coders in disguise in India that were all pretending to be the AI company in itself. Well, guess what? This is not the only company that has failed on AI. Amazon. Remember Amazon?
If I want, so what this is like a bunch of people doing customer service and pretending it's not pretending it's AI, right?
Yes.
So
and coding.
You're chatting with a live human being and it's pretending that it's AI.
Yes, that is correct.
Well,
Amazon did this.
I'm okay. I want to engage with real people when I call or I chat.
Well, it's a little bit more than chat on this one.
Yeah, it was AI developer code. It was code too.
Code. So it was an AI to write software code for you.
Now, did you ever remember those Amazon stores where you could go on in and you could grab a deal?
Go.
Amazon Go. Remember that stores? They don't exist anymore. You know what that was? That wasn't AI detecting you walking out. That was somebody in India watching a camera of you in the store, and then they would have to go back and put all the items that you put in there to send you the bill afterwards. So a lot of AI fakers. All right. With that, let's move on.
Never mind.
What's that?
I'll have to think about why these exist because that's kind of dumb.
Because you can get $85 million invested into your AI company when you have 700 engineers in India doing it.
I suppose they probably made out pretty well. Huh?
Yes, they do now behind bars. All right, let's move to our pick of the day, whiskey tasting.
And now our pick of the day for our whiskey tastings. Let's see what bubbles to the top.
Well, except for Nathan, Sazerac Rye whiskey needs no introduction for most people.
Oh wow.
From Buffalo Trace Distillery, 90
I've been doing
proof.
this 5 years. Of course I know what that.
I don't know. Get on your AI chatbot and figure it out.
Okay.
$30.
Absolutely thumbs up. Thumbs up for Nathan. Mr. Gourdet, what are you going to give it?
Oh, I already gave it a thumbs up.
Thumbs up. All right.
Yeah,
And Mike gives it a thumbs up. And Mark gives it a thumbs up. Odie gives it a thumbs up.
For whiskey connoisseurs out there, this is not. I don't use this as a sipper. This is not on my sipping shelf.
Okay, this is your mixer.
This is a great mixer. Makes great cocktails, and it's a good price.
All right, there you go. It is. All right, Mike.
It's very tasty, and
you like it?
I think dude over here has set out to convert me to a rye drinker.
I think so.
And what we got to get on the show is the big brother, because this is Baby Saz. The big brother. There's two big brothers to this one. One is Thomas H. Handy, which is the same mash bill, but it's at barrel strength.
Okay.
Delicious, but it's a BTAC.
Okay.
And the other BTAC is Sazerac 18. It's this mash bill, this proof point, but it's aged 18 years.
18 years.
But those
aren't $35 bottles.
No. Not on the secondary market. The Handy is around $400 or $500, and the Sazerac 18 is in the thousands.
Sorry. Okay. Well, everybody, we're just about out of time. We want to thank our listeners for joining the program. Listeners, we want to hear from you. Visit techtimeradio.com, click on our Be a Caller, and ask a question on technology and our talkback recording system. You can always stay connected by signing up for information on our website. From all of us at TechTime Radio, remember, the science of tomorrow starts with the technology of today. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on TechTime Radio. We hope that you had a chance to have that moment today in technology. The fun doesn't stop there. We recommend that you go to techtimeradio.com and join our fan list for the most important aspect of staying connected and winning some really great monthly prizes. We also have a few other ways to stay connected, including subscribing to our podcast on any podcast service, from Apple to Google and everything in between. We're also on YouTube, so check us out on youtube.com/techtimeradio, all one word. We hope you enjoyed the show as much as we did making it for you. From all of us at TechTime Radio, remember, mum's the word.